The first toxic wife behavior we have as women is that we have walls. This was the most important experience of my red pilling as a woman. What I'm sharing with you today is really the foundation of the behaviors I had to see about myself as a woman to begin to forge a new path, to change for myself and to change in honor and respect of my marriage and my husband and my walls, and seeing the extent of which I had built walls in my life and the extent of which they were malicious and harmful to my husband and malicious and harmful to myself was the first place that I had to start. That was really the foundation of my emasculating ways, the foundation of my manipulative ways in my relationship, and my toxicity as a wife. Our walls, as women, having walls up is why we are so selfish. And as I explain walls, that will become apparent why. And all women know, I have yet to work with a woman. I've worked with hundreds of women. I have yet to work with a woman who does not know that she has her walls up and that she is guarding her heart. And it's very common. So I want to address this right from the get-go. It's very common for women to say, I don't have walls. My husband has walls. If you are married to a good man, good men don't have walls. Good men might withdraw in response to our toxic behaviors and withdraw in response to our walls and how our walls make good men feel and how hurtful they are. So he disengages, withdraws from the relationship, but he does not put walls up as we do as women. So we build a barrier around our heart to protect ourselves from being hurt by others. And as women, we began to build our walls around our heart the first time that we were hurt, usually from a man or our first boyfriend or our first crush growing up, and not hurt in a malicious way necessarily. Hurt, as I have come to learn, is a natural part of life. As women, we have never been taught to navigate hurt in a constructive way, to heal it, to let it go. And from the first time that we got hurt, we said to ourselves, I'm never letting that happen again. And we began to build the fortress around our heart. I can remember the first time that I was hurt, and I began to build walls around my heart, specifically in relationships with men. I was 11 years old, 11 or 12. I was in the 6th grade. And I had my first kiss. And I had never kissed anyone. The guy, we called it going with. If anyone remembers, I grew up in the 90s. I graduated high school in 2002. And we called it going with. And I remember my dad used to tease me. He'd be like, who are you going with? Where are you guys going? But I was going with a boy. Neither of us had our first kiss. And I remember having our first kiss, which is always so awkward. There's like people around. It's like at a middle school basketball game. And he broke up with me the next day. And I was crushed. And to boot, it was April Fool's Day. And I thought it was a joke. And I couldn't let it in. Like he sent his friend to break up with me. And I was crushed. And I know that was the moment that I began to build walls around my heart and say, I'm never, ever letting this happen again. And then as we continue to collect hurt through our lives and go through hurt, our walls get thicker, stronger, higher, till eventually we get so hurt that we surround our heart with barbed wire and build a complete fortress. And for most of us women, by the time we have met our husbands and get married, we have the barbed wire around our hearts. And again, it's to protect us from getting hurt because we haven't learned, haven't been taught how to process that hurt. The reason our walls are so toxic and the reason our walls are so selfish, and this is where our selfishness comes from as women, is that in having our walls up, the only person that we are thinking of is ourselves and the potential hurt that could happen, regardless of how our walls affect our husband. Our walls are intentionally hurtful. They're intentionally meant to push people away, to keep them at arm's length. Men, this is why you feel your wife being distant, unavailable, cold, shut down, even when she said, no, everything's fine. I was the queen. I was the queen of everything's fine and putting the facade on, everything's good. But there was an iciness to me. And my husband knew I can't get into her heart. She will not let me in. It is this. And it is very intentional. And because we don't want to feel any hurt, we don't want to feel any pain, we have a complete lack of empathy for our husbands and a complete lack of empathy for their feelings because we are pain avoiders. I can't let in the pain my husband might be going through or the feelings he might be struggling with or consider what he might be going through, because if I did, I would have to feel. Our walls make it effective to where we never have to feel anything. And so if I don't want to feel anything in myself and I want to avoid my own pain, then I can't let in what my husband might be feeling. And I would say for me, my walls and having my walls up and how cruel that was to my husband as a good man. My husband is just so incredibly sweet, thoughtful, loving, playful, wants nothing but for me to be happy, wants nothing but the best for me. And to have my walls up with him because I'm scared he's going to hurt me, there's no basis in reality for that. Talk about low emotional intelligence, the inability to understand life and to see the reality of a situation. So this was my walls were the foundation of my selfishness because I could only think about me and protecting myself. And they were the foundation of my toxicity as a woman in my marriage.